in voiceover, I think in some ways it's hard, like harder than acting on camera at times or like on stage, because at least on stage and on camera, you have people to work off of. But in the booth, it's just you're creating this whole world around you, and it's an incredibly hard thing to do, to train your brain to do that. And some people are very naturally gifted at it.
Hello and welcome to the 81st episode of the 30s podcast. My name is Clint.
My name is Marcus.
Hello, Marcus.
What's going on, Clint?
We have producer Caesar.
Hi, everybody.
And a special guest today.
Yeah.
From Chino Hills, California, my childhood friend, Colby Rummell.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Wow, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
Great. How are you guys doing?
Doing amazing.
I've been better.
Better.
In
what ways?
So my brother Luke got married last week in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah.
You ever experienced 7 degrees?
No.
Like
Never.
outside?
No.
It was terrible.
Okay.
It was so mind-numbing. Why would anybody do this?
I don't know.
I don't understand.
Well, he
And
did it.
He did it.
Did he have fun?
And then it was fun. It was pretty good. They because I guess her family, his wife's family is from there,
Yeah.
and I don't know how they do it. What do they do? And it made me so grateful for today, which is like 78 degrees.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful California weather.
God. Then the funny part is, as I like a few days later after being there, their weather changed to like the 50s. Ooh. And I was like, so they were just trying to get us.
Yeah.
Nice.
We just went on the worst day of the whole freaking year.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
To your brother.
Yeah. So anyway, so you've been talking about Luke because you're Luke's age, right?
He's my, I went to school with Luke.
Yeah. So you grew up with
He's
Luke.
amazing. I love that guy.
Oh my God.
He's been on the show before.
Yeah.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
You got to tell him I say hi.
We will.
It's been a long time.
So how do you guys know each other then? Is it through Luke?
Man, I think we know each other from back in the day when Kendall and Jake were like really, really close. And so when I was like a little kid, how little was I? I was pretty little. Size-wise, I was pretty little.
Yeah.
I'm not sure age-wise, but I was pretty little size-wise.
Just because I'm older, like I could just like visually see you as like the tiny you.
Yeah.
Just in my head.
Yep.
That's like the timestamp.
Crazy how that happens, huh?
As you grow up, and now we're like grown people.
I think I was in the 7th grade, and then we would go over to your house or other people from your Jake's group, and we would just hang out. And then Clint was hilarious. I just remember so much back in the day, just like him showing us funny YouTube videos and cracking us up all the time. Yeah, great family.
Yeah.
And I was thankful for those times for sure.
Yeah, one of the stories Jake did at Luke's wedding was, I guess, when I first started football freshman year.
Yep.
We brought my pads home and we put them on Luke.
Okay.
So Luke would have been, how old were you guys? You guys would have been like 5th grade or 6th grade?
Something like that.
Running around it. I don't know, we were probably beating him up while he was wearing the pads.
Okay.
Something like that.
Well, that sounds like a brother story.
Yeah.
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 Did you play football?
Build him. I did, yeah.
What'd you play?
Like safety.
Oh, wow. Okay, sweet.
I thought you were going to say bench.
No.
That's why I said safety.
Like
More
safety.
like third
That's cool.
strain safety.
Did you get any interceptions?
I did get a tackle or two.
Congratulations.
Because do you remember who Ifo was?
Yes.
Ifo Ekpriolomu.
Yeah, he was a football player.
Yeah, he was went
tackled him?
professional. Well, he was the starter.
Did you tackle him?
So,
Is that what you're talking
he
about?
was like, hey, go here.
Oh,
did it.
gotcha. He was a starter safety.
Yeah, he was the starter.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't start my time. Whatever.
I got mine. We're good.
All right.
So you mentioned Clint was funny earlier. Clint, do you want to explain why we have Cody on the show today?
So we have Colby here.
Colby.
That's
Colby.
okay. It happens, man.
Fine.
Don't.
Colby,
I'll respond
either-
to anything with Cole.
Okay.
I'm gonna see. My problem is I'm gonna want to say.
Be
Kendall.
careful.
That's
Be careful. You're pretty close to a
funny
bad
word.
word there.
Funny words. Which bad word?
Anyways,
So
continue.
Colby's here because Colby, you do voice acting.
I do. Yeah.
So do you consider it voice acting or voiceover, or can you say either term?
Yeah, I think you can say either term. I mean, acting for sure. You have to know how to act to do voice acting and learn how to use your voice in whatever way you can to kind of move forward in the industry, but you definitely have to act. But also, voiceover has been the term to describe it forever. So yeah, I think that's respectable to call it voiceover too.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing voiceover?
It's kind of at the start of COVID. My story. Do you want me to get into my story?
Yeah,
I'll get into my
let's
story
hear
a little bit.
why you decided to pursue it and how you became exposed to it.
Absolutely. So yeah, my story is that I always loved doing like theater and music and all that kind of stuff. I think, back in the early times, I was a gymnast, so I did gymnastics, and I think it taught me how to kind of perform under pressure. And then what you realize when you're a gymnast, very quickly on, you just realize that it takes over your life. And if you're not going to go to the Olympics, there's really no reason to do it. And I was just the kid who wanted to try everything. So at like 11 years old, I was like, I think I'm done with gymnastics. I want to try other things. And my parents were like, hey, you should try a theater show. Try out for the musical theater. And production, it was Chino Community Theater.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say because you're
my home away from home when I was a kid.
Your aunt did that too, right?
Yeah. She loves that kind of stuff, and her kids also act too.
Oh yeah, because do they still do it now?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I remember back in the day, one of them got a big part on something.
Shout out Aiden and Zach. They are incredible actors, both of them, and so talented. But they're cooler than me. Anyways, you should have them on the show. Okay.
We have that recorded and on video.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. You're welcome. But basically, when I was little, I tried out for, I think it was Cinderella. And I booked the Prince. Exciting moment. I wasn't Cinderella, although I would have been a pretty darn good, beautiful Cinderella. Yeah, it would have been fantastic. And got to do that and fell in love with it, and then did show after show kind of there, and then was always that guy who was in between sports and musical theater. And
so you did it in school too?
I did it to an extent in school, but mostly at the community theaters at the time, just because I fell in love with that place. Really wasn't until I think in high school, senior year, where I tried out for a show and did one there, because I was doing like ASB and sports and stuff, and the amount of time it took to be a part of a high school performance was a lot. So basically fell in love with it, and I was that guy who was the Troy Bolton, I guess, of except I didn't play basketball, of Chinoo's High School, and fell in love with it and just continued to love performing. And then at that point in time, I was like, I know I want to act, but I didn't know, logically if it would work for me or anything like that. And I was a pretty logical guy and didn't want to, make a choice that I would later, regret or anything. And so in between college and stuff, I was doing other jobs. Like I sold plastic for a while. That was a job I did during college. It sounds about as exciting as it was, but I did love my boss.
Like The Office.
My boss is awesome.
That kind of job.
He was such a good guy. Exactly, dude. There's this line from Jim actually that I feel
like a Jim Halpert.
Yeah,
selling paper, selling plastic.
I know, man, crazy, right? So there's this line that I was watching The Office, and he goes, I don't want to talk about paper. I don't want to look at paper. I don't want to hear about paper. I just want to not talk about it ever again. And I was just like, that's the most seen I've ever felt in my life. But, I had an awesome boss who just taught me the most cool things about like business and sales and all that stuff. And he was wonderful. So I really am thankful for that time. Also, it taught me that ultimately, I think in the end, I knew that an office job probably wasn't going to be it for me. And I was like 19 when I was doing that. Then I was finishing up college. I got the bug again. That was just like try out for a show. And I tried out for a show at the Candlelight Pavilion. And I got to do that one, which was fantastic. That was probably my first like paid job for theater. Oh, nice. And I was like, you get paid for this? That's cool. Yeah. And then right after I had auditioned for The Sound of Music. And I was 21 years old. And I booked Friedrich von Trapp, the 14-year-old boy. That took me to Alaska. And every single time I went on that stage and said, I'm Friedrich, I'm 14, and I'm a boy. Got a huge laugh. I'm not quite sure it was because of the way I delivered it or if I didn't look like a 14-year-old boy.
Because you're 21.
Exactly. The ripe age of 21. But I felt, it was cool. I got to travel to Alaska, and it was a huge stage. It was really, really fun to be a part of. And I met some amazing people, made some great friends. Kind of started realizing like I wanted to do it. And I wanted to pursue acting in general when I started getting those kind of jobs where I was like, oh, you can make some money from this.
Yeah.
But also I love it. So it's the perfect thing. Also in sales, when you're like doing like knocking on door sales or like you're knocking on businesses, you're like, hey, I want to sell you plastic, or hey, I want to sell you whatever. You know, there's an art to it. You know, how do I, in the first 10 seconds, make them fall in love with me so that they'll get me to that person who's that decision maker? And I was like, you know what? It's the same amount of work doing that it is auditions. And I feel like although what I was selling in the company I was working for was a fantastic company, I totally believed in everybody who was working there. It was just more like, I believe in the art that I can do more. And I felt like that was going to come through in my auditions and when I'm meeting people and all that kind of stuff. And then, basically, I tried out for a show that was at it was a Fringe festival. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but it's like a festival that happens where writers can write plays and they can perform their plays at these smaller theaters and stuff, sell tickets, all that stuff. Booked one that was called Treason. I did that play, and then I realized, okay, theater money's not fantastic. I got to get another job to get me through this time, and I started doing recruiting was what I was doing at the time. It's, again, an outside sales position, so I was just going places and knocking on doors, and all that is to say that then they were like, hey, do you want to do an independent film and play that same part? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And they were like, okay, it's coming up in a month and a half. And I had to make a choice then. It was like, do I want to just pursue this and quit my job or stay in my job? And so I quit my job and did the movie. And then I was like, okay, everything I can possibly do now to get out to LA and do the journey I'm going to do. And so for, a year I was bartending out in Culver City and driving from Corona.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Feel that.
A drive.
Feel that
Yeah.
drive.
So I was doing that like every week, 4 times a week. And then a place opened up at my brother's place where he was living out in LA, and I wanted to move with my brother, move in with a person that I already had known and felt comfortable with. And so when that place opened up, I was like, yeah, for sure, I'll take the room. Started paying rent, and 3 weeks later, COVID hit. So then I was like, oh my gosh.
I was going to say, when is the COVID shoe going to drop?
Yeah. And so 3 weeks after I moved. So I finally moved, started paying rent, all that kind of stuff. And then COVID hit. And I was like, what do I do now? Because bartending was gone. Auditions for in person were gone. So the thing that I thought I was going to do, I was like, I can't really do it right now. Yeah. And I want to find a way to still pursue what I love. And so my uncle is a voiceover actor, and I've watched him, from afar and also up close for years. And he's so good at it that I was like, I'm never going to do voiceover because he's so good at it. And that's, I'm not sure if I could ever be that good or anything like that.
Is he, because I remember him. I remember because his son, your cousin, worked at Disney when I worked there.
Yeah, Taylor, yep. Mm-hmm.
So I interviewed him one time for a class.
Cool.
And because I just remember your uncle did the voice of Reptar.
He did so much, yeah.
What are some of the things he's done?
Well, I think for animation, his 2 biggest were Reptar, and then he also did Aquaman for Justice League.
Wait, the animated show?
Mm-hmm.
Unlimited?
I can't remember which one it was, but he was Aquaman. Yeah, he's amazing.
That would be intimidating.
Yeah, no, he's incredible.
Reptar,
but
especially if you're a kid too, you're on Rugrats.
Yeah, and he's wanted to do it forever. Like he was a kid who had like that tape recorder and all that kind of stuff and record himself and told me many stories about that, but then also just like he fell in line with like the promos, trailer side of the industry, which is really, really cool. It's a cool side of the industry, but really you have to have a really cool voice for that kind of side of stuff. And so I guess I never really thought of it. And then also growing up, I like mumbled and stuttered a ton. My parents would have thought I was crazy if I said, I want to be a voice actor. Yeah. In fact, at times I think they did think I was crazy because then I was like in my room with some music equipment that I had, made a fake demo, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm making a fake demo for voiceover. Okay. And then I showed it to them and they were like, actually, that's pretty cool. That's pretty good. And you should show your uncle. And I was like, I'm not sure if I want to tell my uncle. And he's like, yeah, you should show your uncle. And we were all hanging out one night during COVID and you're not supposed to do that, but we were doing it. And they were like, hey, show your uncle your demo. I showed it to him and he was just kind of like, if you want to do this, you might want to think about doing this kind of thing. And that gave me a lot of confidence. And then I was, I think, single at the time. So I just spent all my money I'd saved up on all my equipment, you know, booth stuff, all that stuff, and demo and all that. It's all very expensive, but I felt like it was worth it because it was a way to still pursue what I loved and what I wanted to do. And so, yeah, I just kind of dove headfirst in. And then I practiced with my uncle. I would just kind of like take, you know, scripts from the internet, put some music behind it, practice commercials, all that stuff, and send it to him. And then when he kind of thought I was ready to like go for it, he was like, okay, let's get you an agent. Let's send your stuff out and stuff. And yeah, so I'm so thankful for that. And then from there, I've just been auditioning ever since. So it's been like, since then, would that be 3.5, 4 years? I can't tell.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty epic.
Honestly, that time has gone by so fast. I'm not really quite sure how long it's been.
Oh, it's been like 20 years.
20 years from COVID? That's crazy.
Felt for me.
It feels like it sometimes, but in a weird way, you can't say thank you for that kind of thing because it's such a messed up time. But it did push me into something that I feel like I just absolutely adore and love.
I think COVID, it was kind of a blessing for, I mean, it was horrible, but
it was horrible.
But kind of I think we've talked about like restructured a lot of people's day-to-days or just like how they want to live their life because I am a bartender still, but like I did lose my job during COVID. I got furloughed, so like I would get it back eventually, but I wasn't working. And so I was like, and I work at a resort that makes consistently good money. So I'm like, I made it, right? And then once that was taken away from me, I was like, I don't know, it should be doing something else, you know, because like I've been shaken up a little bit and like, I gotta focus on other things. So like for me, I got really into podcasting.
Cool.
And into comedy. And it was just, once I was like forced into doing something else, essentially, or finding other avenues, I was 100% in on it.
Yeah.
And I got my job back and I do work it still, but like all of my money now goes into like this or into just writing or being funnier or just, you know, being more creative.
Yeah.
And it was because of COVID. Like if that didn't happen, like this wouldn't have happened.
That's so interesting.
You know? Yeah, it's fascinating because it was a horrible thing.
Yeah.
You know, devastated everything. But then it's not just me. Like I've talked to other people that have totally shifted not only their careers, but just how they live their lives because they were forced into their house for however many months or like a year.
Yeah.
So you kind of had to just reevaluate how you want to live your life.
Totally.
And I didn't mean to derail that, but
no,
it was just
totally.
like, it's fascinating how that happens.
It is, and that's awesome, man. And that kind of job that gets you through to be able to do it's so necessary.
Yeah.
You know, those jobs that, you know, allow you to do things like this, and focus on your dreams. That they're such a blessing. You know, I mean, in the end, I can't tell you how thankful I've been for the jobs I've had that have allowed me to do voiceover and acting and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm thankful for them for sure.
Yeah. Like I complain a lot about the teaching stuff. Your parents are teachers, so like they'd get it.
Sure.
They would understand it all.
It's a hard job.
Make sure they don't listen to the last few episodes.
No, they'd be like, oh yeah, he's right. Like the amount of teachers that I talk to that are like, you shouldn't do this. I'm like, this is kind of scad. Like sad, scared. Scad.
Yeah.
But it's like, because even before I would say, oh, I want to do stuff for kids, for grown-ups. I want to do voices in cartoons or just make kids content.
Yeah.
But I didn't even if I knew like what could make kids laugh, I didn't understand what each like age is going through.
Yeah.
And so subbing, I know now what they're going through.
Yeah.
Like I could kind of go grade by grade of like, oh, this is what they like here. This is where their brain is at there. And so if I get anything out of it, it's like, well, I have all these stories now.
Yeah.
And I have a better way to like assess what like they would need.
Yeah.
Because they're all on YouTube, and is that good or bad? It might be kind of bad.
Well, I think also too in that like first off, teaching is incredibly difficult. So all kudos to you, your mom, my parents, all that stuff. That is hard work, and I think it should be paid way more. But on top of that too, I think that when you're in the entertainer side of your brain, what I found interesting when I was doing my other jobs was that I was always like, I'm just playing this role right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm just playing the role of a plastic salesman. I'm just playing the role of a bartender. I'm just playing the role because there's so many things you can learn from every single situation that none of it's a waste of time.
Right.
You know, no conversation you have is a waste of time because it's honestly a study of people. And that's what art is. That's kind of what entertainment is. How do I take what they have and then use that to bring this role forward? And that's why I said when you asked the question about voiceover and voice acting, you know, in voiceover, I think in some ways it's hard, like harder than acting on camera at times or like on stage, because at least on stage and on camera, you have people to work off of. But in the booth, it's just you're creating this whole world around you, and it's an incredibly hard thing to do, to train your brain to do that. And some people are very naturally gifted at it. I wouldn't say I'm naturally gifted at that aspect of it, and that's what the training and the classes and all that stuff comes in to help you with, because there's people who have tips that will just get you there. But I would say that it's like every single thing you did, every time you've had a conversation with a kid, that's going to help you.
It's been more training than anything, like just entertainment wise. Because like, just get kids' attention. I have to be like, clap once if you hear my voice, clap twice if you hear Bugs Bunny. Hey, what's up, Doc? And it's like, if you know the stuff that could get their attention, like 100%. That'll help forever.
And they're the hardest critics in the world. They will tell you straight up if you're bad or not.
Most of my stand-up right now is like their immediate reaction when they see me now. Because it was,
which is what?
Like at first it was Ryan Reynolds, and then it slowly becomes Aaron Paul, and then it became Frank Gallagher, and I'm like, Frank, how do you know this reference? You know, Shameless. You're in 6th grade. Stop watching it.
Stop watching it.
Frank Gallagher. That's a bad one.
I was like, do I look that bad? I'm okay.
No.
Do I look okay today?
Stop that.
I was wearing a denim jacket.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, and I had my
That'll
beard.
do it.
That'll do it. I was like, I was wearing the costume, I guess. Frank Gallagher. Like, do they know I'm hungover? No, they don't.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's why they made the Frank Gallagher reference.
Because they're like, you look tired, Mr. McKay. Why are your eyes red?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean, 4th grader? What are you trying to get at?
Oh, man. All right. Well.
But, yeah, they're funny. Because then, when I do voices to kids, they're like, are you a voice actor? Yeah. And I'm like, well, I mean, one day maybe that'd be cool. Yeah. But, like, you're my training ground right now, kiddo. So it's like, take that. Who knows?
There's so many lies too that like will just get in your head. I'm just gonna talk about that too, like because people will say like, "Oh, you're too late to the party." You're never too late. It's just a 10-year journey whenever you start. Yeah. You know, and I think that when you start head first in, it's a crazy thing to think. There's some people who make it like quicker than 10 years, and some people who make it later, like longer than 10 years. But the idea is that you put time. You outlast the competition. You work really hard every day. You give it your all, and then it's a possibility. That's a possibility that it will happen. You know, and you know, everybody's voice is different too. Right. Whatever they have, their personality. Everybody's personality is different. Right. For instance, I was talking about this the other day with somebody about Rick and Morty, how they had to switch the last season. It doesn't mean they're bad voice actors if they can't match exactly what they're doing. They're just bringing in different personalities to the character that they personally bring to the character. That you know. Man, what's his name?
Justin Roiland.
Thank you. That he wouldn't bring naturally to the character. That person's not going to bring to Justin Roiland. He's going to bring his person to it. You know,
he was doing a lot of work doing 2 characters.
Oh my gosh!
That talk to each other the whole time.
Yeah, it's incredibly. It's very talented. I mean, like it's like Seth MacFarlane, all those guys who are just so talented at the animation side of things, you know.
Yeah, those are the goats.
So good.
I think you have to get over that imposter syndrome right when you start.
Do you ever? I mean, that's the thing that I would say is like, I hope you do, you know, at some point, because I deal with that even right now or whatever. It's like you can be in the room with, you know, for example, taking classes, like you're in the room with actors who are working just as much, if not more than you, and they're going to perform right before you, or you're going to perform right before them. And you're always going like, oh, how's this going to go?
Right.
You know, hopefully I can fake it this time, you know, like, but like ultimately it's not faking it. You know that you have the skills back. But the thing is that you're around people who are so good and you're like, man, how do I stand out? How do I, all these things. But the truth is you stand out by being yourself. You bring that personality to it. You play what you play well, and you just do what you know instead of trying to be something else. You know, you just got to bring yourself to the roles. Yeah.
Yeah. I started doing lessons this week for voiceover.
Oh, sweet, dude. How was it?
It's cool. I'm like only like 10% through the. It's an at home class.
Cool.
So the actor who does it, his name is Joe Zija.
Okay.
And it's made for people that have like full-time jobs, and can't really go into class to do it. But one of the main points that he makes, like at the start of it, is like about the imposter syndrome. He's like, it's going to happen, but just don't give into it. And part of this class, you're able to join a private Facebook group, which I did. And everyone there's really supportive, but a lot of they echo the same thing where it's like, you made the step already to be here. So like you belong here, just keep doing it and keep doing it. And, everyone's going to help you out if you need something, but just like, you're here. And the same things that you're saying, like everybody sounds different. Everyone can do different things. There's so many avenues. I didn't know how many avenues for voiceover there were. That's one of the earlier things you learn too, but like, where do you want to go with voiceover? Yeah. And it's like commercials, promo, anywhere you hear a voice, like that's paid voiceover work. Commercials, promos, if you want to go into dubbing, if you want to do like, it was like, there were so many avenues where I wanted to get into voiceover strictly for dubbing. Yeah, I love video games and anime, so that's what I want to do, and I love those voice actors too. I follow a lot of them on socials, and like they're really cool people, and they seem like similar to me. So I'm like, I think similar with how I got into stand up. I'm like, I think this is my tribe here, performers. Cool. That's what we need to be. These are my mutants. Yeah, and so that's why I wanted to get into voiceovers for that. And then once I saw like everything you can do for voiceover, I'm like, that's crazy that there's so much you can do. Yeah. And the guy that does this class too is like, people don't know like how many jobs you can get in voiceover. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs, and like you can do it. They need people to do it. And it's very interesting and very cool to have finally stepped into that pool. Yeah. And just get things going.
Yeah. I think with the thousands of jobs, I think you can always remember that should bring you hope is like, there's a job out there for me.
Yeah, there's a job out there for you.
There's a job out there for me.
Also, a lot of these people have made me realize like so I want to do anime dubbing. They were like, there's other people in this class that like, I wanted to do commercials. And then once they started seeing what else they can do or seeing like the other avenues, they became attached to that instead because they liked doing that more. They still like performing with their voice. Yeah. But they were like, oh, I can do this other thing that I'm really good at. And, I'm going to do that instead. Yeah. So, it's cool to just like performance in general. There's so much you can do. Yeah. With podcasting now is really huge. Stand up, acting, voice act, theater. There's so many avenues where you can be creative.
Yeah. I had a class that told me like, hey, make a podcast because that's practice every single week on your voice. That's practice.
It has, man. Yeah. It's like voice practice. It's
getting used to hearing yourself too. So
we talk about, cause we're filming, improv, so it's also it's improv, and then it's like, can I look at myself on camera? Because my look is always changing. It's either I'm losing hair, gaining hair in other places.
That's just age, man.
And it's age. So, but then it's hard because you're looking at it, and then when we watch it again, it's like, oh, look at my face.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
But I've gotten better at it. Yeah. But there's some days where it's like, ooh, it's harder. But then if I make myself laugh when I'm watching, like I forget about all the insecurity.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing too. Like, dude, to do voice acting, you look great in my opinion. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, you don't have to worry about that stuff. Nobody's seeing you. Yeah. Nobody's looking at you. If you're on camera, maybe I'll worry about that stuff. But like voice acting, stand up, nobody cares.
It's amazing. Yeah, no one cares.
Nobody cares.
That's why stand up is fun too, because it's like every single person.
Look at the stand-up comedians we have these days. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They're all different.
Don't worry about it. Don't stress. You don't have to be like friggin' Zac Efron, to be a stand-up comedian.
If only. Well, not.
I know. Yeah.
Man, did you see Iron Claw?
Haven't seen it yet.
Oh, he got shredded.
He gets shredded for every movie he does.
Shredded. That was extra shredded.
Yeah, really. Extra shredded. More than Baywatch.
More than Baywatch.
That's crazy.
So have you had to go into a studio or a recording place to do certain jobs?
Yeah. So dubbing is where I've been doing, there's different jobs you have to go into studio, dubbing, video games, animations, that kind of stuff. You're still usually in studio, I think, depending on what studio you have at home, or they'll be like, oh, because of COVID, we learned how to do things remote. If we want to do it remote, we can. But most people who are directing want to be around the talent that they're directing, because it's a little easier to have that personal connection. Now for like promos and commercials and trailers, it's usually just at your home booth, whatever you have. They'll just connect you in and you do it from there. But the studios that I've been to. I've been for like dubbing and stuff like that. Yeah. I've done one anime, but
yeah, which one?
Yeah, it's called Romantic Killer.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Played Soda in it.
Soda.
Oh.
SOTA. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. to be honest.
Sota.
Something like that. Not soda.
Soda.
like Coke.
That was Coke.
Spray.
That was Pepsi, actually.
Yeah,
Zero miss.
It was fun though. I had a great time doing it, and the director was amazing, and just the people. They just the cool thing about voiceover is I feel like it really puts, I feel like it puts you all in the same playing field. You have this job, right, that you're gonna enhance the project in whatever way you possibly can, and the directors, they just like are your friends, man. Like they want this project to succeed as much as you do, and ultimately they're your cheerleaders in this. The casting directors, everybody's cheering for you, because ultimately they want to find their person who's going to solve their problems. So remember that, and then ultimately, like, it's just about bringing your best. Every single time you walk in the booth, whatever's going on in life, you just kind of got to forget about it, because like ultimately, if you walk in that booth, it's such a blessing to be there. Like it's so hard to get a job these days sometimes, because even though there is thousands of jobs, there's thousands of auditions, and those thousands of auditions, your voice somehow has to stand out among the rest when you're not like I can't go to I mean, I'm sure I probably could, but like when I'm just auditioning with my MP3s that I'm sending in every single day, they don't know what I'm like. They don't know if I'm easy to work with. They don't know anything until you start building yourself a name in the industry, and then people start going like, "Oh, Colby, he's nice. He's a good guy to work with. He's fun. You can definitely get the job done with him." But it's the same thing, for like the first, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years, it was kind of like mostly crickets, because they're trying to get to know your voice, and I think that can be very irritating and also like sad. When you're trying your best every single time. And then, for that long, you're like, oh, is anything ever going to happen? Is it going to happen? But like, stick with it, because eventually it does, and I think that that's something that is a very hopeful thing. Like I said, it's sometimes just outlasting, it's sometimes just like waiting for that one person to take that shot on you, and then you have to just kind of go in with the, eyes open, all that stuff, and just being thankful, because people don't want to work with people who aren't very nice. You just want to be a nice guy. You want to be a person who's gonna, make their lives easier.
Yeah. So what are some tools that you use going into an audition like that, where you might not know anybody there?
Tools?
Yeah.
Tools?
Like what do you like hype yourself up, or like do you go, okay, I need my voice to sound strong, or like?
Yeah, I mean, I think for different characters, characters are, cool, because I think that it doesn't really matter, like, ultimately where your voice print falls, That would be like a medium tone, younger sounding voice, but with some rasp, right? So it doesn't really matter where my natural tone goes. You have to be able to just like change it and do weird things with it, depending on what the character size is, looking at the character, seeing all the things that, if you're lucky enough to get a picture of that character, it's helpful, because then you'd be like, can I fit that? Yes, I can fit that. Or if you can't, it's like, okay, I'm gonna pass on this one, because I don't want to give out something that is not going to be very good. I want them to remember me as a good voice actor.
Yeah.
So it just depends. I think like the specs they give you are very helpful, a soldier or like all this stuff. You can always think about like, okay, but I think remembering playing the soldier as just the soldier is never a fun thing. Playing the soldier who's like a naive soldier, or like those different things, like adding little things that will make your choices a little bit different to try to stand out among the rest of the crew who's sending in their voices. I think trying to do something that's going to catch them by surprise a little bit is fun, because remember, they're listening to 1,000 auditions per role. I mean, it's the numbers that they have to listen to. I mean, it's crazy. It would make a common person probably go crazy. So it's all about just like, how do I enhance this character? How do I bring myself to this character that makes them want to use me? And honestly, I don't even think them saying they don't want to use you is a bad thing, because like ultimately they're going to find somebody who's great. Like there's so many fantastic voice actors in this industry. And I think that ultimately it's like knowing that you're just along for the ride. The right jobs will come. Nothing that's for you will go by you. It's just like, be patient. The right character will come eventually. You know, like I haven't had any breakout characters or anything like that yet. But I'm thankful and I'm waiting. I'm hopeful, you know, and I think that it could happen. It's just one of those things where it's like, along for the ride and doing all the jobs that come my way eventually. Right now is getting me through to that moment. And, I'm thankful for those jobs I'm doing right now. So,
man, geez. Yeah. Do you do any writing on the side?
You know, I've done some writing and I should continue doing it because it is a great thing to do, especially just to get the creative bug out of you if you're going through a time period where it's a little bit slower, all that stuff. I used to write like some I went to like sketch writing class with my brother and stuff. Yeah. And so we'd write sketches and all that stuff. We've written a couple of fun ones, and I did like a project with my buddies during COVID because we just were like, we want to do something. Yeah. And that should be coming out pretty soon.
Dude, the movie I wrote during COVID was the craziest. It was basically like, it was like these. It was called Hipster Detectives.
Hipster Detectives.
And because I was like, I don't want to live in this like reality, so I did a kind of like where they jump through different realities, but then Everything Everywhere All at Once came out. Yeah. I was like, so I was on the right track.
Dude, no joke. My thing that is called Bad Therapists, and like after we had made that, it was like then I see the amazing show Shrinking. It was so good, Shrinking, and then there's just so many. There's other ones that came out that were also about bad therapists. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, we're on the right track,
which is crazy because it's like
we're just a web series with friends, but
like took my idea, but it's like they must have thought it too.
They've been thinking about those things for a long, long time. Yeah. I mean, it's so if you're able to have the thought, somebody else is able to have the thought too. It's just who kind of gets to it first, you know?
Yeah.
So that's something to think about. But yeah, it's fun to write. I love it. I don't know if I'm great at it, but I like doing it, you know? And I think that it's always a fun challenge to continue to push yourself. And I think in the creative side, it's always good to do as much as you possibly can, you know, because you never know what kind of lane you're going to find yourself falling in, you know? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is there any other creative stuff you'd want to do?
Oh my gosh, I would love to direct one day. Just because
like live action or animated or whatever.
You talking about like shows and stuff?
Yeah, or like would you want to direct animated stuff?
You know, I think directing in the sense of like whatever came. I think like whether it was directing commercial reads or like promo reads or
even that,
trailers or I love that kind of stuff because I feel like that's just honestly kind of the people you hire are already good. And the thing about that is like, how do you just get them to do exactly what the client's wanting? And I think a lot of that is just calming nerves, you know, and just allowing them to know, hey, you're great. Let's do this. Let's make it fantastic. And I'm here to help you, you know, support you and stuff. But then I think for like dubbing and stuff like that, that's a tougher thing to direct because you're locked into their lip flaps, and that's a whole art in itself. And I think sometimes the dubbing world is so quick. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, dude. This is what dubbing is. Dubbing is walking into a booth blind, not knowing what's going to happen on the show that day.
Yeah.
And you are kind of reading the script as it's going. So they have like different ways to do it, but voice cue is the main one right now, where it's like a karaoke machine where you're reading the lines, and when it hits a red line, you're supposed to say the line at that moment to match the lip flaps, and you have to act it out, and it's cold read every time. And so, it's terrifying, but the best practice time behind a mic in the world. And I don't say practice as like it's not good work. It's fantastic work, but I have to think of it as like, okay, the only way I can get through this is if I go like, this is what I'm doing right now. How do I act this to the best of my ability so that on the second or third take they get it? Because it's quick too. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to be a quick reader. Mm-hmm. You have to be good at taking in what you just watched and just going for it and acting with your voice into that character. It's so much fun. But the directors, I think it's just a special job because, I think the best directors are able to get you there and also keep their composure and encourage you the whole time. Like I have this director who I worked with quite a bit lately. Her name's Sam Daniels, and she is just the best director. And I've worked with other amazing directors too, but she just, the way she does it and teaches us how to kind of like go for it, and then if there's something I'm doing, she knows how to like get me to do it. Right, it's really cool. So I think eventually it'd be fun to do that side of the industry too, because I think my personality lends itself to trying to get people where they're supposed to be, but also in a very encouraging way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it'd be fun. I mean, I think also like my other job I do right now is I worship leader at a church. So I've done that forever. And I think that like learning how to, learning how to train a band and just work through issues and all that stuff with just a positive attitude, it just lends itself really well to directing in that industry.
Yeah, because I used to do that stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
So then do you feel like being able to sing helps you with voice acting?
Sure. I mean, a lot of it's melody, I think when it comes to commercials or promos or, for example, I've done in the past year, like I've done a couple NHL spots or whatever, and learning how to hit the notes that they want to hit is something that is a musical thing. So the people who are really good at, I feel like promos or trailers even, like those guys, the way they speak is almost like a melody, right? So it's and then also coming in at the right tones to match the music. And sometimes you don't even get the music, so it's on the directors to like direct you the right way.
Oh, great.
But like I think the first NHL one I booked was like this really big, fun, animated for kids, but also the parents. It was for they did like an NHL and Roblox game.
Oh my God.
And it was like the NHL is taking hockey to a whole new level, right? So it was super fun. And then this other one I did was like, let's be as real as possible, and the most recent one is like most real as possible. And it's a read that's just kind of like get the stats behind the stats with NHL Edge. And it's just like the coolest thing in the world because like being able to hit those notes and understand what they want, it's going to get you so much further,
right?
Instead of being a one note trick the whole time, I did Baby Shark's big movie. That's the guy I did recently. That was really fun. I was the trailer voice for that. And so
you're the trailer voice.
And and all the promos too. So that was fun because first off, I didn't realize probably because my uncle is so gosh darn good at it. I don't think of trailers as ever being part of my future. My voice is pretty high in comparison to a lot of those guys, but I guess learning how to use your instrument in a way that pops, and also with like Nickelodeon stuff, it is pretty fun, and so it was like, it was just the coolest job I've ever had to this day yet, because the people I worked with were amazing. Those directors, those marketers, that team was just so encouraging and kind and helpful, and it felt like a team effort, and it was really fun to do Baby Shark. I mean, I never thought I'd ever be able to have that on a resume, So
I was going to ask, what's your favorite job you've done so far?
I think it's that one. I think it's that one just because of how hopeful I became after that job. Mm-hmm. I think when you originally asked me about the podcast, I was like nervous. I didn't have anything like fun to talk about yet,
Stop.
But like, I feel like
a lot of people think that when they come on here, because they don't really have those kind of conversations about themselves in like day-to-day life.
I don't. And
then
it's uncomfortable
everybody's got a story.
Yeah.
Everyone has a story. Everyone's got something to say. It's never really.
Yeah. I think for me, it was like, that was the job where I was like, okay, I think it could really happen, like, I think it was one of those moments where I was like, okay, I can see how people make a living doing this and all that stuff, because up until, and not that I don't love my other job too, I love it. And I'm so thankful for my church worship leading job. And it's, they're my pastor and my other people who are working alongside me are the most supportive people of my job, to the point where if I have a meeting and I go, I booked a job, I can't be at the meeting, they're just like, have fun, and they're just the best, and so cool. It's very, very thankful for them. And it's cool because they're like part of your team too. I think that's the other thing, is like finding a team who supports you. Oh my gosh, my parents, like if my parents didn't force, like in a way, like say like, you should do this, I don't think I'd be doing it, honestly, to this day, because without their support, I think I would have been that guy who's like, I got to find a job that's like, I got to support my family right away. Mm-hmm. I want to have kids. So like, how can I get the most money quickly? And I don't know if that's the entertainment industry. I'm sure it can be for some people
at some point,
but man, it's a grind. And you never, again, we were talking about this a little bit before, that it was just like, you don't really know like if it's going to happen. Yeah. And every job is from job to job and all that stuff. And so sometimes you go through like longer periods without work, and sometimes you have a lot of work in a week, you know? And so having that kind of like, up in the air is not me usually. Like I'm the guy who's like, I'm going to go sell plastic, because because it's steady and so I would have been that. I probably would have done that, but if it wasn't for like their support and other people around me that were like supporting it, they gave me hope to get to where I am today, and I'm so thankful for that, because I think I wouldn't have probably chased it.
Yeah.
I love it, and I'm so glad I am now. Like, I was always that guy who was in my head thinking, like, I'm just playing this role. I'm just playing this role right now. Like, I always knew I wanted to do it, but there is something in my brain that was like, it's a crazy move. It's a crazy move, and quitting a job for an independent film that's going to pay you like what you make in a week is crazy, you know. But it's worth it in the end if you love it. Yeah. And I think that has to come through in everything you do, you know? So I
think that's one of the biggest hurdles of creativity as a profession is that you can't see when it's going to happen for you.
Oh my gosh.
You can't see, obviously you have goals, whatever, but you can't see when it's going to happen.
Exactly.
So it's easy to get discouraged, or just, again, the imposter syndrome thing. Like, am I doing the right thing? Is this really what I should be doing? And then you just have to just keep doing it.
100%. And I think that was like why I think in the end that's been my favorite job. It's just been, it's like, it gave me some hope that repetitive work can happen, you know, where I'm not just doing one job here and there. Baby Shark was awesome because I got to do a lot of different promos for him and stuff. And also I think just, you know, as a kid who loved Nickelodeon growing up, it was really cool to get to work with one of my dream studios.
That is cool.
Yeah, it was really, really fun.
So do the Nick people like, are they like, you're our Baby Shark guy? Or like, are they like, if we need another higher pitch male voice, we're going to go with you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of all up in the air. I hope and pray that I did a good enough job where they'll remember me for other things. Yeah. But
get that credit though.
What was that?
You get that credit. Like,
I mean, any job.
IMDb, there it is. I was Baby Shark.
No, it's not. IMDb only tracks what, you know, is on camera for the most part. Voiceovers, you can go to my IMDb right now. You'd never know what I did.
Because they don't do the trailers.
They don't do anything like that. So, I just have like 4 credits on IMDb right now. But I've done more jobs.
That's tough. That's tough too. That's like
it's okay, because I think in the voiceover industry, people know that. Like it's, you know, it's about, you know, how's the read coming through? How's your audition coming through? And that's what's going to end up getting you the job. I would say it's more based on the skill and your read than anything, whether you're famous or not. Like it's, I'm sure that helps. But ultimately, I think a lot of these casting directors really want to cast the person who's best for the job. And in voiceover, because it's not so like, we're going to sell thousands of tickets to the movie theaters for this. It's like, who did this perfect? You know, who did this the way we want to do it? And who brings more to this character than the other people? And for callbacks, you go and you give it your all and you hope you get the job. But I don't think it's an at you if you don't, you know? And honestly, with Baby Shark, it's, you know, I think it went well enough that hopefully they keep me in mind for other things, but that's up to them. And I'm along for the journey, and I loved working with them, so I'd work with them again for sure. Yeah.
Seems like voiceover is that kind of job where you leave it in the booth. Like you go in and audition, and then just don't think about it too much.
One of my most proudest moments was when I booked something that I forgot I auditioned for. Because like you go, wait, what did I?
You can't just hang your hat on it.
Job
like,
for?
You really want it. And it's like, you may or may not get it, but you just have to keep doing it, going on to the next thing.
100%. I mean, I just think that when it comes to like the roles that you end up booking, it's like, if you're caught up on every audition you do, it's going to be the most miserable life in the whole entire world, because you're not going to book everything you audition for. I mean, I think I auditioned for like seven things most days around. It kind of averages out to about 7 auditions a day, and very time consuming. And it's very, you give everything to it, but then as soon as you send it in, my brain's like, bye-bye until it comes back around, if it does come back around. And that's the other thing too. That's where imposter syndrome really kicks in, is because you can do 1,000 auditions and not hear anything until you book a role. Yeah. And you're like, have I been competitive this whole time? Or am I just now becoming competitive or anything? You never really know. Yeah. I mean, to this day, I'm like, I might be good at this.
Oh man. It's been 4 years.
No, I'm just kidding. I've had some great jobs, and I think that allows me to move forward. Also, like I don't put my faith in other people, in the sense of like, you know, I don't find myself being like, oh, if Nickelodeon doesn't like me, I'm at the end of the world. You know, it's like, I hope they like me, obviously, but I don't put my faith in people, because they're always kind of disappoint me. I'm a worship leader too, so my faith's in God.
So it's got to be God. It's got to be like something.
It moves me forward. So
like you got to have because God's great because it gives you a purpose, or it makes you think about purpose.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many people that like I feel like blessed that I know my purpose is to entertain people.
Yeah.
That make them laugh and smile and make their
It's a beautiful
life better.
purpose. Yeah.
And it's like, that allows me to go to many different jobs and to be like, oh, well, this is fine today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like getting back into stand-up was tough because it's like you're going to open mics with a bunch of like 20, 30-year-old dudes like you that are like aren't wanting to listen to somebody else.
Yeah.
Just want the validation from other people.
Yeah.
But then it's been a blessing just meeting others.
Yeah.
And just making friends because it's like, well, I know like what I need to do, but then you don't always know like what path to take.
Yeah.
But just knowing that, oh, well, I know that I'm good at this thing allows you to go and do all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like I said, it's just, what I'd say about the voiceover industry that's really cool is I feel like the people I've met have been incredibly supportive. You know, great people in the industry who have no reason to talk to me have talked to me, you know, and they've helped me along the way, and it's very supportive, you know.
That's one of the more appealing parts about it to me is the community of it.
The community
Everyone's
is
just in it together.
And you don't really get the credit, and that's okay. You know, I don't know if you want the fame sometimes.
Yeah, because I think saying Colby Rummell doing narration.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
It could, though.
It's all right.
It could
could say that.
You never know. You never know. I mean, you talked about Bugs Bunny. I think Mel Blanc was one of the first people who was just like, yeah, okay, I'm not going to do it for this much money, but I want my name on the front of the show.
Yeah, I want the name
that's
here.
when it started becoming a big thing to put names on shows and stuff. So it's really, really cool. But like I said, it's just one of those things where it's like the people who, you know, you meet along the way, probably with comedy too, where it's like you never know who's going to end up shooting up like a star. So
Yeah. Oh, dude.
just be a friend, you know.
Last year, I got back into doing open mics, and then my friend Jake Lewis, who I knew from Warner Brothers, asked me to be on his show. He is directing the Pauly Shore as a Richard Simmons movie.
Wow.
And I'm like, that was a year ago when he was like, oh yeah, you should come do this with me.
Yeah.
Oh.
And now he's booming. He's like on all. He's in Variety.
Wow.
You never know, and it can happen to anybody. And I think that's one of the best things about the industry, and also one of the scariest things about the industry. But it's so.
That's why reputation is so important. Like you were saying,
my gosh,
it's just like don't be the dick. Like,
Yeah,
and
nobody wants to work with that.
People remember like, oh, he's a good guy. Do you want
I'm
to
sure.
like for stand up or whatever? They'll like, oh, I remember Clint. He was cool. Do you want to come do this show? Now that he's exploded, and you're like, yeah, I want to do that show. Yeah. And he remembered because you're chill.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Nice.
and I think like that's a huge thing because, especially in voiceover, if you're mean, you're not gonna get more work because there's too many nice people who are doing it. I'm sure there are some people who are mean and are doing it and who are just fantastic.
Yeah,
and you have to use them because they're just that good.
You have to deal with it. Like, it's gonna be a rough day.
Yeah, but for the most part, I think it's uncommon. I think it's
Yeah.
a lot of people that are just extremely excited to get a job and extremely excited to move the project forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about on here with different forms of creativity about elevating the people around you.
Yeah.
So just be cool. And help each other out.
Yeah.
I mean,
hard.
Isn't that more important in the end anyways? I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's
definitely.
more important in the end anyways. I think like in the end, if you're known as the guy who held people down, it's like, why? You know?
What was the point of
What was
that?
the point
Yeah.
of that? I think in the end, if you're one of the
Especially
guys
if you don't make it.
Yeah, but also like there's so many more important things sometimes too. I mean, I'm not trying to bag on that, but it's like there's more important things in life. There's how you treat people. There's how you all those things. All those things are way more important than whatever job I'm doing today. To me, to be honest, you know, because in the end, like, could this whole journey be taken away from me? I'm sure in some way, shape, or form, it could be taken away from me. How do I continue after that is up to me, you know, and the people that are around me. And that's why I think the team is not just the team of entertainment people. The team has to be people that are around you, that are your friends, your buddies, your family, all that stuff. Because, you know, let's say I horrifically got in a car accident or something and my voice got cut, you know, and I wouldn't be able to work anymore doing what I love to do. It'd be a huge bummer. I'm sure I'd have to work through it, but there's people around me who care about me still, and they're going to help me get through that. So there's more important things sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Clint, do you want to ask anything else before we wrap it up?
I don't think we're good. Do we any random stuff? How much time do we have left?
I feel like a couple minutes, like
12 minutes?
4 minutes.
You got anything? This is how it goes. Usually it's like, well, what's going on in the...
Romantic Killer is available on Netflix, by the way. I looked it up.
It is. You're right. You're right.
If you want to check them out.
I'm on that.
Killer.
Yeah, so tough.
There's some really good ones too that I've done projects-wise, but Dom on Prime is really good too.
Okay.
I've voiced Pedro Dom in season 1, 2, and 3.
Pedro Dom.
Great story, crazy story. But there's a lot that are projects that are just are I'm so thankful for them, and ultimately in the end it's got me to a place where I'm like, oh, this is a cool journey, you know.
Yeah.
4 years in, it still feels like I guess you're a senior in high school.
Yeah.
But next year's freshman year of college for me, and I just keep on going.
There's even more. So what's like one like dream, shoot for the stars, dream?
Yeah, Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I would love to be in Call of Duty. I think it's fun because that game I've played for so long, and I still play with my buddies from high school. And if I booked it, I wouldn't tell them that I booked it, so that one day they're just hearing my voice on the game while I'm playing with them. I think that'd be really fun. Call of Duty would be one of those ones where I've just had it on my mind for a long time. I think that also an animation job, whether it would be for like a character, like a series regular in a Nickelodeon show or like a Disney show or something like that. For right now, it'd be really fun. And then also like two or three trailer campaigns this year would be fantastic if I was able to get my voice on some trailers and stuff. But I'm thankful for whatever comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm just looking forward to the journey. But yeah, I think that one would be fun because I just play video games with my friends, and I think it'd be hilarious if they heard my voice twice.
Yeah.
Like your voice is already annoying enough, Colby. I don't need to hear it twice, you know?
I don't need to hear you grunting.
Grenade! Get down! Yeah. The funniest job I've ever had, I'll tell you what my funniest job is. I don't even know what the game is because sometimes they don't tell you, but I played a monkey. And I didn't have any lines. It was just monkey noises the whole time.
Whoa.
I mean, that's pretty good. That's really good. It's like Alan Tudyk did the rooster in Moana.
Oh yeah, dude, he's amazing.
He's
I love
one of
that
those
guy.
where I'm like, man.
Do you know what the game is now?
No.
Okay.
They don't tell me, man. So
You come across it one day, just like a cell phone game or something.
I don't even know if I'd be able to tell it was
Blast.
me, to be honest. I lost my. That's the other thing.
Sounds
Vocal health and
familiar.
voiceover is a real thing. Because I went in that session an hour, my voice was gone. Because I did not know how traumatic that experience would be. It was really, really fun. But at the same point in time, man, I lost it on other jobs because I did that job. So you have to kind of take that in consideration too. So
When you have to do some crazy voice.
oh my gosh, yeah, just when it's just on top of your lungs screaming, but also just grunts are terrible for your voice anyways. Yeah, it's so bad.
If you're doing like Tasmanian Devil the whole time. Yeah, I can't even do that for more like 10
You
seconds.
did it better than I probably could have done, so good for you, man.
Let's get those kids' attention, man. God.
Do you do Taz
sit
in
down.
class?
Huh?
You do Taz in class?
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing? You look like the Tasmanian Devil. They're like, what? I'm like, you're an animal. Riot.
There you go, man.
Muppet one.
Yeah.
There you go. I just say for anybody who's looking to get into it, it's one of those things where it's just like, do it because why not? You know.
Why not? Yeah.
And also, your voice is going to be different than other people's. It's amazing. One thing I've learned is when you go to these classes and you have so many amazing, talented people around you, nobody's going to do the read the same way. Because there's some classes where you get the same script, everybody does it differently. And so I think that's why you just can't take things personally. You don't book them. So, yeah, if you're looking to get in voiceover, it's one of those things where it's just like you will bring something special to the table by learning how to use your voice, by learning how to act with your voice, and by bringing that character to life, and by bringing yourself to that character. That makes sense. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to end it.
Yeah, we can wrap it up on there.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks
it's
for
a
coming.
pleasure,
It was
dude.
Hopefully
great.
it was okay.
No, it was awesome.
This was great. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was good for a first podcast.
For me?
Yeah, you did well.
Great for a first podcast. That's how we're going to end it.
It was all right.
Did you want to plug anything before we leave?
No, dude. Dude, I thankful to be here and to talk with you guys. And yeah, man, it was fun.
Yeah, well, give the people your Instagram and stuff.
Colby_Rummell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Producer Caesar.
You could hit me up at Rodriguez Podcast. That's where I can produce a podcast for you in the studio. At The Rodriguez Show is a podcast where I interview artists from all over Southern California. And Carla and Caesar's Modern Life on YouTube. That's the other podcast I do with my wife. And that's it.
What's your,
right.
do you have an upcoming Carla and Caesar listen?
Not yet.
Okay.
Soon.
Echo. All right.
The Echo.
Echo. Got you. So I said all right. So at the _Clint show, I mean, I have a TikTok. Gotta try to use it, I guess. But
I've been saying that
All
for
right,
months.
we're doing, but also just let us know if you want to do anything creative. We're just opening it up. It's a wide open thing until we're like, no, it's a terrible idea. Then we'll shut it down. No, we're not that mean.
Okay.
We're not mean. Don't be mean. Don't be mean.
We just said don't. Never mind. Uncle 200 Sports Marcus on everything. The 30s pod on everything. That's it.
Thank you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.